Good afternoon. My name is Brendan with Homes in Orlando for Sale, and I just wanted to welcome everyone to the initial broadcast of Orlando Real Estate Buzz. Welcome. The reason why I'm starting this live broadcast is I'm trying to get beyond the headlines on a lot of topics in real estate lately. There's a lot of news out there, a lot of misinformation, and I think it's important that we take some time and get beyond the headlines and delve deeper into some of the things that are going on in the market. Today, we're going to start with the foreclosure moratorium. As you know, the foreclosure moratorium was announced on Monday by the CFPB, will be extended to July 31st, and people are questioning what happens then. So we're going to go through that a little bit today and tell you what the CFPB actually came out with. They actually had a 208-page rules change to mortgage servicing. Thankfully, they broke it down into 8 pages, which makes it a lot easier for us to understand, a lot easier for us to read. So let's get into it. The CFPB's whole goal of doing the rule changes really is to provide a solution to the people who are currently in forbearance, or people who didn't even do forbearance but got behind on their mortgages during the COVID crisis. So what they've done is they've come up with several different forms of modification, and also the last resort possibly is the selling of the home. Now, who do these rule changes apply to? They apply to people's principal residence, and these rules will take effect August 31st, and they actually run through the end of the year. So why is the CFPB doing this? One big reason is they're trying to help people avoid foreclosure. We don't want to go through the same thing we went through during the Great Depression. 7 million people during the COVID crisis took advantage of the COVID hardship forbearance program. And right now, there are still 2 million people that are in forbearance. Of that, over 3% are over 4 months late. And so basically over 120 days late. And why is the 120 days late important? Because that's when a servicer can start to do foreclosure procedures. So the CFPB had to come up with some rules and some rule changes to help everyone that's in that situation, because once July 31st hits, if they hadn't made the rule changes, the servicers could have just started foreclosure. And what are we looking at as far as foreclosures? Right now, the April delinquency rate was running at 6.45%. That's higher than any time during the Great Recession. And pretty much all of us have lived through that. I happened to be a mortgage lender at the time. It was not fun. It was extremely difficult, and everyone knows the stress that was put on everyone at that time. So we're looking at a possibility of having more people delinquent than ever before, and more foreclosures than ever before. They're actually estimating right now that there's roughly 900,000 people who will be affected with possible foreclosure between now and the end of the year. So that again is why they've had to come up with some new rules to try and help people. And basically what they've done is they've come up with a number of what they call procedural safeguards. And these basically they added 3 safeguards to help protect the homeowner, so they have an opportunity. All right. So before a servicer can actually reference or send someone, refer someone for foreclosure, one of three criteria has to be met. Okay. One, the borrower must have submitted a complete loss mitigation application, and the servicer has to evaluate the application. The borrower must have remained delinquent since submission of the loss mitigation. So basically, if they submitted the loss mitigation, but they've been able to make it up, they're fine. Okay. The foreclosure protection condition is in the existing mortgage service rules discussed above are met, such that servicers permitted by the rules to make foreclosure referrals. So what they're trying to do basically is they put out a couple different rules so that the servicers have to reach out to people before they can refer for foreclosure. And that has to take place between August 31st and December 31st. And there's a bigger breakdown of that quite honestly gets a little complicated and just wasn't part of what I wanted to present today. But know that the servicers have to reach out to the people that are in difficulty. If they do not reach out, then they cannot start the foreclosure process. And I got a feeling they're going to be all over everyone on this. Another way that they can actually start foreclosure is that the property has to be shown to be abandoned, which that's a very low percentage of what we're looking at. But if they can show that, they can start the foreclosure procedures. And the other thing is that if the borrower is non-responsive and the servicer has done everything possible, then they do have the right to start foreclosure. So if a servicer reaches out to you, reach out to them. You have to communicate with your servicer. If you're doing that, you have the ability to stay off or come up with some type of modification for your loan. And they've really tried to make this easier. One of the big problems during the Great Recession is when we tried to do loan modifications, all this documentation had to get put together. Actually, quite honestly, it was worse than putting together a loan. So a lot of people just gave up because they would send information and then became outdated by the time someone got back to you, and then you had to send it again. And by that time, it was just, you were burned out and just said the heck with it in a lot of situations. Interesting thing that they're doing right now is they have come up with a number of different loan modification scenarios for everyone. And the best part is that they will do modifications with incomplete applications. So where we've had to gather all this information in the past, you do not have to do that. And they can offer you a modification even with an incomplete application. So again, what they're trying to do is within this 5-month time frame, really from the end of July to the end of the year, because once the end of the year hits, the rules go away and they can start doing regular foreclosures. You hit that 120-day mark, you're gonna go into foreclosure. And just to give you an idea of what's happened during the pandemic, the number of foreclosures has gone down 93%. 93. So obviously that's one reason why you see an inventory problem is a regular flow of foreclosures that had come on the market are gone. And with the number we're looking at right now, which is roughly 900,000 people in the next 5 months through the end of the year that are possibly looking at foreclosure because they're roughly 120 days late or more on their mortgage right now. But they really are trying to reach out and make it easy for people to do the modifications. So with that, what they're doing, they can offer a limited loan term extension. And this is interesting because someone had mentioned about 40-year mortgages the other day, is they will allow you to extend the terms of the mortgage not more than 40 years from the date of the modification. So you may actually be able to stretch it out, re-amortize over 40 years with the modification if needed. I don't know how many they'll do because it's not typical, but it is something that is in the guidelines. They will limit the periodic payment increases. So basically, they cannot increase your monthly principal and interest payment beyond what you were required to with your original loan terms. So if they can't increase the payments, what do? You either have to stretch it out or you put everything on the back end. So what you may see is a lot of people who have actually taken advantage of the past 18 months is they may take those 18 months and put them on the back end of their loan. So where they may have had 25 years, they may have 26 and a half years now. Makes sense. Another next item is they prohibit the interest accrual of delayed payments. So what that basically means is any payments over that 18 months, say it happened to be $18,000, they can't charge you interest on that accumulated deferment. They cannot charge you additional interest, which is a great guideline. Then the last three is that the loan modification must be available to all borrowers with COVID-related hardships. So anyone who can present the COVID-related hardship, generally that's the people who have been in forbearance, it has to be available to all of them, not just one or two. If you make it available to one, you got to make it available to all. But do you have to have been a COVID related situation? No, you do not. So if you are looking at yourself and you didn't do the forbearance, but you've had difficulty, possible job loss, relocation, anything like that, you still have the right to reach out and try and do these modifications before the end of the year. Don't wait. Next is that if they do a modification, it ends your pre-existing delinquencies. What does that mean? Well, on your credit report, you will show, once they start reporting again, which they've actually stopped, is they will show you as a 30-day late, 60-day late, 90-day late. Everyone knows when you sign a mortgage, one of the forms you sign is that if you're late, the mortgage company has a right to report that to your credit bureau. And they do. But if they give you a loan modification, that delinquency immediately must be rectified. So on your credit report, you have to go back to not being late, which is very important for your credit scores, especially down the road, so that you can start rebuilding your credit. What happened to a lot of people during the Great Recession is the late stayed on through the short sale process. You ended up going through a short sale process, lasted 2 or 3 years sometimes, ended up doing your short sale. It was recognized basically as a foreclosure. That stayed on for another 3 or 4 years. So for basically 7 years, 7, 8 years, 9 years, you weren't able to get a home because you had a foreclosure, short sale from the Great Recession on your credit report. They're trying to resolve that by making them rectify the delinquency right up front, which is excellent. And also, the final thing is they cannot include certain fees. So basically, if they do a loan modification, the banks can't charge you. Okay? Plus, they have to waive all fees, existing fees, such as your late fees, your penalties, your stop payment fees. Okay? Anything that was incurred after March 1st, all have to be wiped away. which again, going back to the Great Recession, you saw thousands upon thousands of dollars of fees added on top of what was delinquent. Not again, not this time. That all has to be wiped off. So basically what they're trying to do is make it simple, get the servicers to do modifications. They're basically, what I get from it and reading it is they're trying to get them to add it back to the back end of the loan. So that if you are short if you took the full 18 months, you're going to end up with 18 months worth of payments on the back end. But you got to work it out. You can't sit on it, and you've got to reach out to your servicers. Will the CFPB accomplish its goals? I don't know. I don't know because homeowners are stubborn. They don't listen a lot of times. Even though you're trying to help them. And a lot of times this information doesn't get out. And that's one reason why I decided to start my first live stream with this one today, is I felt it was very important. I lived through the Great Recession. I watched a lot of my friends, a lot of people lose their homes. And I don't want to see that with this one coming forward. When you're looking at 900,000 homes, possibly headed to foreclosure in a 5-month period, that will be an economic disaster to this country. It just will be horrible. So I think the guidelines they put forward are excellent effort in trying to stop it from happening. Hopefully it will happen, but we'll see. If you have any questions about this or about any more details, feel free to reach out to me. You can call me at 407-710-8720 or feel free to email me at brendan@homesinorlando.for-sale. Here to help you out, here to help answer questions. And as I get more information on the foreclosures and any changes that the CFPB is going to make, I get the updates on a regular basis, and we'll try to keep everyone informed. Take care and have a great day. Bye.